Hello everybody, it is Mr. Francy here and welcome back to Sparkle Sparkle with Mr. Francy, my booktube podcast. You guys, I am so excited to be here right now, and let me explain why. In order to do so, I kind of need to go a little bit back and kind of discuss how this podcast came about. If you are new to the channel, please do subscribe. It costs nothing and really does help me out. Hit that notification bell, ding, so that you can be notified each and every time I do upload. And if you enjoy the podcast, give it a like so that I know that you're continuing to enjoy this podcast and I will bring you more. But that is what we are going to speak about at the top of this podcast, which is bringing more podcasts to you. Originally, when I came up with the idea to do a podcast, I had heard of a lot of different podcast ideas floating around, but I had not come across a booktube podcast. Now, I'm not saying that booktube podcasts don't exist. I don't know if they do. If they do, let me know. I would certainly love to check them out. But I decided for myself, I thought this would be a great idea. Something that you guys may or may not know about me is that, well, I have so many different interests when it comes to career paths, and one of them was definitely to be on radio. I love talking, and if one of the biggest requirements to be on radio is to ensure that there is no dead air, well, I feel like I have what they call the gift of gab. I can just talk and talk and talk, so that's not an issue. Now, I went ahead and did my first podcast a little while ago, and it did good, and then I did the second one and it did even better, but I decided to step away because I wanted to go back to creating more traditional booktube videos. You know what I'm referring to. TBRs, monthly wraps, reading vlogs, book tags, all that kind of stuff. And it was fine. Until suddenly I started getting overwhelmed with comments from you guys, whether it was on my videos, in my Discord publicly, in my Discord privately, however you guys were letting me know, you were letting me know that you wanted to see more of Sparkle Sparkle with Mr. Francy. And you guys, I am so happy to say that we are literally back thanks to popular demand. Thank you so much, you guys. It just feels so amazing that you guys love the show so much and that you guys wanted it to come back. So I do very much appreciate it. I do kind of feel like today I'm going to be going a little bit off the cuff. So, yeah, we'll see how we go. I do have some things in mind that I do want to discuss with you, but from my next podcast on, and I wanted to announce this right at the top of the video, from my next podcast on, I am actually planning on going live, which I'm really excited about, you guys, because then I can interact with you guys. I also want to kind of mix things up here at the podcast, have some special guests come on where we can talk about different topics that may be of interest to you guys who love reading. So yeah, I'm excited about that too. I do want to put it out there that if you would like to be a guest on the Sparkle Sparkle podcast with Mr. Francy, please let me know by signing up over to my Discord and sending me a private message over there. All you need to do is just let me know that you are interested in joining the podcast. If you have an idea of what you would like to discuss while you are there, please let me know that also. But anyone who lets me know that they would like to join the podcast, I would love to have you there. So please do not hesitate to let me know. But yeah, I'm also planning on going live, which is going to be really fun and really interesting because my Wi-Fi seems to have this crazy idea that it likes to cut out on me. So we'll see how that goes. It'll be an experiment. But the great thing also about going live, other than having guests coming onto the show, will be that I'll be able to interact with you guys because you'll be able to type in comments for me during the podcast that I can read out during the podcast, which will make me so happy. It'll be so great to interact with you guys. All right, let's start off this week's podcast by discussing what I'm reading. And I think this is the perfect time to open up the topic of DNFing as well as shelving. So for those of you who don't know, you may be new to booktube or you may not have heard of the term DNFing or shelving. Allow me to explain the difference to you. One thing that both of them have in common is that you stop reading a book. But for how long you stop reading that book, that comes back to which terminology you would use. DNF stands for did not finish. You pick up a book, you start reading it, and for whatever reason, this book is just not working for you. So you decide to put it back down and this is very important, not go back to it again. You did not finish and you don't plan to. That is a DNF. A shelve still has you at a point for some reason where you're putting a book down. However, the difference between a DNF and a shelve is that with a shelve, you do plan to go back to it at some point. You just don't want to continue reading it right now for whatever reason. It's really funny because the first two books that I picked up this week either involved a DNF or a shelve. Let me explain. The first book that I picked up this week was Recursion by Blake Crouch. This was my second Blake Crouch book. The first Blake Crouch book I read last year, I think it was last year. It was either last year or the year before, but I think it was last year. And it was called Dark Matter. I loved this book so much that I raved about it so many times on my channel that you're probably sick of it by now, but it was fantastic. Dark Matter was an adult sci-fi book that explored a lot of different things. I don't want to give anything away because I do feel that Dark Matter is the type of book that you should just go into knowing as little as possible so that you can just enjoy the ride the whole way through. But suffice it to say, I really loved it. And I fell in love with Blake Crouch as an author. I love his storytelling. I just found it so entertaining, so extremely enjoyable. So I decided to pick up Recursion, which was another book that he had written. And I was very excited to get into it. I had heard from other readers in the past that if they had read those that had read Dark Matter and Recursion close to each other, so maybe a couple of books in between, or maybe just a month in between, that they felt really let down because the books are very similar. So for me, I decided to wait an incredibly long time between reading Dark Matter and Recursion, so that Recursion could be as fresh as possible for me, and not feel like it was leading on from what I read with Dark Matter. Now, you guys, here's my thing. I don't want to give away too much at all about either of them, but I will say that there is a common theme in both books. Now, that's fine. I had no problem with that, with the warning I had. It had been quite a while since I'd read Dark Matter, so I was ready to deal with this theme again. But what happened, you guys, was a Mr. Francy personal opinion no-no. Yes, that's right. Mr. Francy has personal opinion no-nos, and if Mr. Francy comes across them, it usually does not work out. And in this case, it definitely was the case. I am someone who loves my thrillers. I am someone who loves my mysteries. I am even someone who loves my cozy mysteries. Oh my gosh, you guys, I could talk about cozy mysteries all day. However, what I love about my thrillers, my mysteries, and my cozy mysteries is that our protagonist is an amateur sleuth. Yes, this is someone who has most likely had no experience at all when it comes to trying to solve some sort of a mystery. What I don't like is reading books where the main character is someone who specializes in crime solving, whether it be a cop or a detective, an investigator, whatever it is, because I don't like the other stuff that goes on. So I don't like the stuff that goes on at the office and, you know, dealing with all of that type of culture. I'm just not a fan of it, to be honest. And anytime I watch any TV show that has detectives or cops or anything, it just doesn't work for me if they are the main characters. So here's some unpopular opinions for you. I don't like any of the Law and Orders. No. I think if any of them, there was a time when I didn't mind Law and Order SVU, but I think that's mainly because Mariska Hargitay really, uh, really made that show for me. But I'm just not a fan of anything that's like that, like Law and Order or CSI or whatever. It's just not my jam. If you are someone, if you are playing the role of someone whose professional job it is to solve these things, investigator, cop, whatever it is, it just doesn't really work for me. So, unfortunately, with Recursion, it is a dual perspective. We follow two characters, but the more main character out of the two is a cop or a detective, something like that, and it just did not work for me. Also, Recursion committed another one of the Mr. Fancy personal opinion no-nos. It was a diary entry situation, and I don't like that stuff. If you guys have been with me for long enough, then you probably know that I did not enjoy Piranesi. And I know that that's an unpopular opinion because a lot of people love that series, but I don't like diary entry books. So, two Mr. Fancy no crimes were committed in this book, and so ultimately I end up deciding to DNF. I think I made it about a quarter of the way through. I did give it a red hot go, but in the end I decided, you know what, life is too short, so I DNF'd that book. Once again, DNF means you don't want to pick it up again. I don't plan on picking this book up again. I'm moving away from it. I will still very much appreciate Dark Matter, but Recursion was not for me. So I decided to replace this book with a book that was not on my TBR that had a similar page count. And what I discovered when I looked at my very overly done with different genres TBR was that I did not have an LGBTIQ plus book on my TBR this month. What the heck was going on there? So I decided to pick up one LGBTIQ plus book that I had on my bookshelf that I had not read, which was What If It's Us by Becky Albertelli and Adam Silvera. Now, you guys, I saw the difference the moment I started reading What If It's Us. I fell in love with it from the get-go, really, and I still love it to this day. The reason why I'm bringing up What If It's Us when it comes to DNFing and shelving is that I am going to shelve What If It's Us. Now, I'm going to temporarily shelve it. I would like to get back to it as soon as possible because I am really enjoying it. However, the lovely, lovely readers at Killing Time with Cozies are doing a read-along, and I'm incredibly behind with that read-along. We have until, I believe, like Saturday or Sunday, something like that, to read a cozy mystery called To Helvetica and Back by Paige Shelton. That was the book that I planned to, you guys, I am so far behind, it's ridiculous. I planned to read Recursion, then another book after Recursion, then another book after that book, then I planned to read To Helvetica and Back. So I'm going to shelve What If It's Us, then skip over the next two books that I was planning on reading and pick up To Helvetica and Back because I am so far behind. I don't know what happened. I seriously don't know how I am so very far behind. It is unbelievable. It's so not like me. So that is what I am going to do. But have you DNF'd or shelved any books this month? Let me know in the comments section below. And do you believe in DNFing? Do you believe in shelving? Do you adopt both practices or just the one? Some people only employ the DNF route. Some people only employ the shelving route. Some people employ both, and some don't employ either. And that's fine too. For me, I'm a massive advocate of DNFing, although I am definitely up for both, as you can tell. I think if you're not enjoying a book, then put it down and pick up another one. I think one of the worst things for me personally that I can do is if I'm not enjoying a book at all, is to keep going, unless I have an incredibly good reason to do so. And I know you can't see me, but as I'm saying this, I'm literally rolling my eyes because I'm thinking, I'm thinking about a book that incredibly disappointed me last year that made it to number one on my worst books of 2021 list. So if you've seen that video, you know what I'm referring to. With that one, I could have DNF'd that book so many times, but I kept going because I was so hopeful that it would redeem itself. Actually, I don't know if hopeful is the accurate word. I think I was incredibly certain that it would redeem itself because of just how, in my opinion, how awful it was. So I just assumed that there would be, it would be redeemed by the end. Something would happen to fix all of the problems that occurred within the narrative of the story. And so I kept reading, wanting, really, not only wanting, but needing that redeeming thing to kick in, and it just never did. So but yeah, I am definitely a massive advocate of DNFing. What about you? Let me know. Alright, so what I thought I would go into today is something that I was actually planning on doing a standard video for, but I decided, you know what, why not just do this in a podcast, because I would have more time to talk about it. So, guys, picture this. Mr. Francy doing an actual video where you see my face and you get all of that lovely little editing that goes on the screen. But being a podcast again, I get more time to talk. So we're going to do it over here. And that video would have been entitled My Top 10 Videos by Popularity. Yeah, so I decided to go into my creator studio on YouTube and click on rank the videos that I had done all throughout my booktube career and rank them from the highest amount of views down to the lowest amount of views. And what I found out was, well, my top 10 videos really surprised me in different ways, and I'll explain why as we do go along. So are you ready to get into what the most popular videos are so far, or at least were to this point in time? Let's find out as we count them down. So, to make this list, all that needs to happen is that they need to be in the top 10 for the most views. So I wasn't doing this for any other reason than just to see, because I just was intrigued to see which ones were the most popular, and so I could have a laugh about it. Let's do this, and let's see what you guys think. Alright, coming in at number 10, just making it into the top 10, is a video that really surprised me. I thought it would actually be higher up than it was, but that's okay. I'm actually glad that it at least made it into the top 10. So, coming in at number 10 is my 2022 SAS list. Yeah, so this is something that I found out about in 2021. Elizabeth from Lizzie Faye Loves Books has this thing that she does every year called a SAS list. SAS stands for Serious About Series. So with this list, you create a list of books that you either want to, series that you want to either begin, that you want to continue on with, or that you want to finish out. So I did a list of my very first SAS list. I decided to keep it as simple as possible and do a list of 22 series. I was really excited about this series, and I still am. I think some of the books on my SAS list didn't quite work out. Let's take a look at some of the highlights, shall we? Now, if I had fancy schmancy editing available to me here, if this was a standard video, I would actually cut to the video and show you some highlights. But instead, what I'm going to do is because we're here at the podcast, I'm going to go through all 22 series, and I'm going to tell you if I've read any books from that series this year or not, and if I have, what I thought about it so far. Alright, so let's go. Coming in at number 1 was the Betrothed series by Kiera Cass. I have not read book 2 yet. I had read book 1 prior to 2020. Number 2 was the Skyward series. I need to read book 3. I still have not. Number 3 was the Del Toro Quest series. I need to read book 2. I have not. Number 4 was the Stormlight Archive series. Oh, you guys! I'm so glad that came up, because I need to talk to all of you who know or love my dear Brando Sando. A lot of you who love Brando Sando have been asking me, Mr. Francy, when are you going to get onto Rhythm of War? How long have you owned that book and you still haven't read it yet? Seriously, what's going on? I'll be completely honest with you guys. The length scares me. It does. It's 1,300 words, which is absolutely doable. I have read the first two Stormlight Archives books. They're both over 1,000 pages. I've also read the Count of Monte Cristo, which is over 1,000 pages. It is doable, but I don't know. It just kind of scares me. I feel like it's going to take forever for me to get through, and it's stopping me from getting to it. I'll put this out there. If any of you want to do a buddy read of Rhythm of War, let me know. Maybe that might entice me. You definitely don't have to, but if you want to, if you're going to do it anyway, let me know. That might entice me. But in the meantime, I feel like it's just going to be a placeholder on my bookshelf. It's just going to sit there and look pretty. I love the series. I do. I love it so, so, so much. But I need to work out a way that's going to work for me. Maybe what I can do is read Rhythm of War over the course of, say, 4 months and read a quarter of the book each month. I don't know. But yeah, page count definitely scares me. So I have not read book 4, Rhythm of War, yet, which was the one I was up to. Coming in at number 5 was the Steel and Fire series by Jordan Rivett. I need to read book 2. I have not yet. Coming in at number 6 is the Spellford Cove series. So here we go. I needed to read book 2, Double Double Tartan Trouble. I have. Okay, I loved Double Double Tartan Trouble, if possible, more than book 1, The Witching Flower. So this series is definitely locked in on my SAS list. I will definitely get through the entire series. I love the Spellford Cove series, Cozy Mystery series, and I highly recommend it. Okay, coming in at number 7 was the Twilight Saga. I had read books 1 and 2, and the next book I needed to read was book 3. I read book 3 as the first book I read for March, and I loved it so much. So Twilight is definitely staying on this list. Coming in at number 8 is the Shopaholic series by Sophie Kinsella. I think it was last year that I read I've Got Your Number. I loved it so much. I was cracking up laughing at least once a page, if not once every second page. I am very much excited to get into this series, but I have not started it yet. Now, this leads me into the all of the Cozy Mystery series that I had not read yet. So there's many of them. Let's jump right in. Coming in at number 9 was the Beachfront Bakery series, book 1 being A Killer Cupcake. Not only have I read A Killer Cupcake, which was book 1, I loved it. I also read book 2, which is A Murderous Macaron. I loved it. I am definitely keeping this series on this list. I love this series so much, and I highly recommend it. These books are short, even for cozy standards, they are short, but oh my gosh, they are so much fun. So I definitely highly recommend them. If you want a really committed amateur sleuth who will not stop at anything until she achieves what it is she needs to achieve, especially as far as solving a crime, this is the series for you. I don't think I've come across a more dedicated amateur sleuth than Alison Sweet from the Beachfront Bakery series. Coming in at number 10 is the Amish Candy Shop series. And you guys, well, with the Amish Candy Shop series, I've read the first 3 books plus the first novella 3.5. Look, you guys, I gave them all 1 star. So I just don't think I'm going to continue on with the series because I just don't think Amanda Flower is for me. He says, trying to keep a straight face. You guys, I literally have book 4 staring me in the face, Toxic Toffee. No. Total opposite. True that I have read the first 3 books and the first novella, book 3.5, but it was the total opposite with star ratings. All of them received 5 stars from me. I love this series. It is arguably my favorite cozy mystery series, which says a lot because I have favorite cozy mystery series, but this one has just found its way to the top very quickly. So Amish Candy Shop is going nowhere. All right. Coming in at number 11 is the Poppy McAllister mystery series by Libby Klein. Book 1 was Class Reunions Are Murder. Okay, how long do you have? I picked up this book in, oh goodness me, was it February? Yes, it was, when I was doing my Cozied Up with Mr. Francy readathon. And it was... That's how we'll classify it. It was the book that was. Look, it was okay. What I will say is that I loved the way it ended. It's, how funny is that? Here I am trying to talk about the positives of the book and I'm jumping right to the end. But I love the way that it ended. I think it opened up some really good ideas that may make the rest of the series interesting, but otherwise I really did not like book number 1. There were some things that I just did not appreciate about the book personally, and then there were some things that I found to be, I don't know, a little bit offensive. So that's just my opinion. All of this is my opinion, so please know everyone takes books, differently. Some people love something that others don't like or hate or whatever. Some people are nonplussed, so everyone's different. But for me, there was some very deliberate fat shaming that went on, and I'm not a fan of that at all in books, regardless of whether anyone feels it's warranted or not. I just don't appreciate it. I don't enjoy reading that stuff. And it happened a number of times, and that really upset me. But I also found a lot of the characters to be quite forgettable. For example, when it was revealed who the killer was, because there's a killer in pretty much every cozy, my reaction wasn't yay or oh no, but instead it was who? As in, who are you? Oh my goodness, I don't even remember who you are. And that really says a lot about me. Now, my dear friend Stormy from Storm Reads has given me an offer that I've definitely reciprocated back to her, which is we're going to hold each other's hands as we read book number 2. I just didn't want to read it this month because I needed a break. So I'm hoping book number 2 will be better. For the moment, the Poppy McAllister series will remain on my SAS list. Alright, coming in at number 12 is the Stony Brook Mystery Series by Erin Scott. Book 1 is A Crafty Crime. I did plan on reading this book last month, but I found out quite late that it would not fit a prompt that I had, so therefore I decided to shelve it. And it's interesting, I am reading three cozy mysteries this month, in March, but A Crafty Crime is not on that list, so it should be in my April list, and I'll read it then and we'll go from there. Next up is the Death by Chocolate Mystery Series by Sarah Graves. Book 1 is Death by Chocolate Cherry Cheesecake. Not only did I read book 1, I also read book 2, Death by Chocolate Malted Milkshake. And this is going to be the first series on my SAS list to be bumped. I am not going to continue on with this series. It just isn't for me. While I really loved the climax of both book 1 and book 2, because Sarah Graves can write a thrilling climax. She did it both times, and she did it so well. I just really didn't appreciate the rest of both books, and therefore it's really not worth it for me to read through what I personally consider to be a slog just to get to a final climax that I find to be incredibly riveting. So that series is going to be bumped from this list, and I'll replace it with something else. Next up is the Donut Shop Mysteries by Jessica Beck. Book 1 is called Glazed Murder. Okay, Jessica Beck is a pen name for a male author whose name I have forgotten. It's eluded me for the moment. I was really excited going into Glazed Murder for many reasons, including the fact that it was written by a male author, because that's not common. The commonality with cozies is that they're written by women. So I was excited to see a male's perspective on a cozy. I was also incredibly excited to read a cozy mystery set in a donut shop. You guys, this book did not work for me at all. At all. You know, as I said, everyone thinks differently when it comes to books, but Glazed Murder just was definitely not the book for me. It is called a Donut Shop Mystery Series, and in book 1, the donut shop is there, but it is much more like a backdrop and not really a big deal compared to the mystery itself. So it just did not work for me on so many levels. So unfortunately, this series is also going to be bumped from my SAS list and will be replaced with something else. The next one is the Booktown Mystery Series by Lorna Barrett. Book 1 is called Murder is Binding. I think I have an unpopular opinion when it comes to this book because I loved it so much. Oh my gosh. This book is set in a town where there are many bookstores. And what separates each bookstore is that each bookstore has its own genre. So we have a cookbook store, we have a fantasy bookstore, we have a horror bookstore, we have a sci-fi bookstore. The list goes on and on. Oh my goodness, how exciting is that? Can I just jump into the book? Like, do you remember Gumby back in the day, how he jumps into books? Can I just jump into this book and live there? Oh my goodness, I just want to explore every single one of those bookstores. And I loved it. I gave book 1 5 stars. The series definitely will stay on my list. Coming in at number 16 is The Secret Book and Scone Society by Ellery Adams. Book 1 is The Secret Book and Scone Society. I started this one. I ended up shelving it. I don't remember why I shelved it, but I shelved it and picked up something else for some reason. Oh, that's right. I was doing a buddy read of Death in Castle Dark, which we'll get to in a moment. Yeah. So I shelved The Secret Book and Scone Society. I have ultimately decided to upgrade that shelving to a DNF, and I am not going to pick up that book anymore, let alone the series. Something about it just really wasn't working for me. I think the idea of the premise in theory is really exciting, but something about the writing style just wasn't working for me. So I am going to be bumping that series off my list as well and replacing it with something else. Coming in at number 17 is the Nantucket Candlemaker Mystery Series by Kristen Brecker. Book 1 is Murder's No Votive Confidence. I plan to read that book this month if I have time, considering how far I am behind in my reading. It's ridiculous. So I haven't read it yet. Coming in at number 18 is a Dinner and Murder Mystery Series, Book 1 being the Death in Castle Dark. So I shelved The Secret Book and Scone Society for Death in Castle Dark. I loved book number 1, and it is incredibly safe to say that a Dinner and Murder Mystery Series will remain in my SAS list. Coming in at number 19 is the Southern Ghost Hunter Mystery Series by Angie Fox. Book 1 is Southern Spirits. I have not read it yet. Coming in at number 20 is the Sloane Krause series by Ellie Alexander. Book 1 is Death on Tap. I have not read it yet. Coming in at number 21 is the Cape Cod Foodie Mystery Series by Amy Pershing. Book 1 is The Side of Murder. I have not read it yet. And coming in at number 22 is the Silver Six Crafting Mystery Series by Nancy Haddock. Book 1 is Basket Case, and I have not read that one yet either. So it's been an interesting up and down ride for me so far for the books on my SAS list, but back to the original list, which was my top 10 videos by ranking of views. Coming in at number 10 was the 2022 SAS list. If you have not seen it, feel free to check it out. I have more visuals in that video. Coming in at number 9 on my top 10 most popular videos list was the Why I Love Graphic Audio video. Oh my goodness, you guys. I had so much fun creating this video, but I had no idea how it would go. So let me give you a little bit of a backstory to this video. In 2020, in February, I believe, I hope I'm right, I ended up reading my favorite book for the year of 2020. So I read it very early on in the year. And that was a book that I'm sure if you watch my videos, you know this book because I bring it up all the time. Let's see if you can guess. I'll give you 3 seconds to see if you can guess what my favorite book for 2020 was. In 3, 2, 1, go. The answer is Mistborn, The Final Empire by Brandon Sanderson. Did you get it right? If you did, you get a cookie. Woo! Yeah, so I started reading Mistborn, The Final Empire, and you guys, in retrospect, I find this funny. I struggled to read the beginning of Mistborn, The Final Empire, which is really funny because Brandon Sanderson's writing style is one of the simplest out there, and yet I struggled with it. So I ended up going from reading the physical book to switching to the audio version, and I ended up coming across the graphic audio or audiobook version of Mistborn: The Final Empire. You guys, I was amazed at the effort that graphic audio puts into their audiobooks. Now, sorry about that. Now, with graphic audio, they have different actors that play different roles. That's something I've seen before. But what I haven't seen is that they will have music that will play at certain points, not all the way through, unlike a book I read last month. Oh, I started last month. But they'll have music that comes up at certain points that's going to elevate the mood, basically. So, or well, not necessarily elevate, but it's going to elevate the feelings that you have because it's music. So it's going to affect certain things. And they also have, what really surprised me the most was sound effects, which I loved, because there is a difference between, there aren't guns in Mistborn: The Final Empire, so I'll just use that as an example, between an audio narrator saying, "So I pulled out my gun and went bang bang," or something, you know, versus getting graphic audio where it would be someone, they wouldn't probably say, "So I pulled out my gun." They would literally, you'd hear the sound effect of a gun being pulled out of its holster, and then you would hear the bang bang of the bullets coming out of the gun. This really elevates audiobooks to my mind. Now, if you want to get into graphic audio, I do highly recommend it, so that you can see the differences for yourself. I do feel that this video is going to help you with that, because I do give you some examples during the video. But yeah, I highly recommend graphic audio. They're amazing. The only thing is, please do keep in mind that if a graphic audio book is not available on Audible, then it is going to be expensive, because purchasing a graphic audio book directly through the website costs a lot more. But you need to keep in mind the reason why. Not only do they have all the actors that they are needing to pay, but also all of that editing they do with the music and the sound effects and everything else. So it is audiobooks being elevated to the highest level that I've ever experienced. And if you get the opportunity to ever experience it, I highly recommend it. Especially with Sanderson books, I highly recommend it. So that video came in at number 9. I enjoyed it. I was so happy that it did so well. Sometimes I have videos that I do that I think are going to do well and they don't. And sometimes I have videos that I don't think will do well that surprise me. And with Why I Love Graphic Audio, I enjoyed that video. I hoped it would do okay. It surprised me with just how well it ended up doing. Coming in at number 8 is my only book review. Now, this is a topic that we could get into, guys. I could spend a lot of time talking about book reviews, because I'm going to talk here directly to booktube creators. Sometimes, and I'm generalizing this, I'm not talking directly to my subscribers, my viewers, I'm talking about generalization. Sometimes viewers know what they want, and sometimes viewers don't know what they want, and it can be incredibly confusing. So I've had a lot of, I keep saying I've had, I mean to say I've seen a lot of people request more book reviews of different booktubers, and then when these book reviews come out, they really don't do that well. Now, granted, book reviews are a niche type of video, but yeah, it's really interesting how a lot of viewers will request a book review, and then the book review comes out from whoever the booktuber is. And then it just doesn't do well, and you can't help but think, hang on, so many people requested this, and it's not doing well, what's going on? But anyway, what surprised me was that a book review made it onto this list. What surprised me even more was that it was one of my all-time favorite books for 2021, and that was The Woman Outside My Door by Rachel Ryan. This book is an adult thriller. I loved this book. I gave it 5 stars. It was fantastic, and it did incredibly well. So thank you guys. I really appreciate that. I did not know how that one would go. I knew I was taking a risk doing a book review, but at the same time I had so much to say, and it was received well. So thank you very, very much. Coming in at number 7, was the second Celebrating Booktubers video. This was fantastic. So the Celebrating Booktubers series, in case you don't know, is a series that I'm doing on my channel where I, once a month, take an opportunity to celebrate a booktuber. It does not matter how big or small they are. They may have 0 subscribers, they may have 1 million subscribers. I'm just taking the opportunity to celebrate a booktuber and put a spotlight on them, basically. And the second one did so well, it came in at number 7. I'm really happy about that. Clearly you guys are loving the series. I really appreciate that. And don't worry, even though it's later than we have had so far, Celebrating Booktubers number 3 is going to come out this month. It's just going to come out later on in the month as opposed to it usually comes out about halfway through the month. So thank you. I appreciate that. Coming in at number 6 is my only wrap-up, which is interesting, but, you know, again, it is what it is. And that's my January 2022 wrap-up, so I appreciate that. It was a wrap-up from this year. A lot of the remaining videos that came in the top 6 were from this year, and I think that shows how much my channel has grown over the years, and so I really do appreciate that, and I, of course, appreciate all the support. I love that my January wrap-up is there. It's random. It was 3 months ago, and well, no, not really. It was 2 months ago. Don't mind me. And it's already made it into the top 6 videos of all time for me, which is absolutely amazing. Thank you very, very, very much. Here we go. Here's the top 5. Coming in at number 5 is my 2020 edition of Cosmere Reading Order. So this is a video that I've actually done twice. I did one in 2020 and I did another in 2021, where at the time of filming, all of the books that I had read in Brandon Sanderson's Cosmere universe, all of the books in the series of those universes that I had read, I was giving a suggested reading order. And I really enjoyed filming both of those videos. Sorry guys, I'm coughing quite a bit in this podcast. I really enjoyed filming both of those videos, and because I love Brandon Sanderson, I love the Cosmere, and I loved talking about great entry points and the orders with which you could read them in and how it would work for you. I just had a lot of fun, and I think my passion definitely shined through in both of those ones. The 2021 has done incredibly successfully, so thank you very much, all Brandon Sanderson fans, whether you are a subscriber or not. If you've seen that video, I really appreciate it. It's made it into the top 5, and I enjoyed doing the video, so thank you. Coming in at number 4 and number 3 are TBRs, which I really find interesting. For me personally, if I were to choose between TBRs and monthly wraps, which one is my favorite? My favorite would be monthly wraps. So I was kind of surprised that I got 2 TBRs on this list and 1 monthly wrap. But hey, I appreciate the love. Thank you. It's not that I don't enjoy doing TBR videos, but what you don't see from my end is that there's not a lot I can really say in TBR videos other than show you a whole bunch of books, which might be why the videos are successful, but there's not a lot I can say about them at all. There's really not, I don't really say much about them at all because I like to go into books blind. So I basically will say the title, the author, the age rating, and the genre, and that I'm excited to go into it. And something that I've noticed, certainly over the years, and it still continues to this day, is that I seem to keep saying the same thing every time I finish talking about a book in a TBR. Like, so, you know, I'm really excited to get to it. And then I get to the next one, I say, this is da-da-da-da-da-da, and I can't wait to read it. And this one, da-da-da-da-da, and I'm really excited to get to it. I'm really excited to get to it. Seriously, there should be a meme out there of me just going, I'm really excited to get to it. But anyway, yes. My March 2022 TBR comes in at number 4, and my February 2022 TBR comes in at number 3, which means that the bronze medal does go to my February 2022 TBR. Thank you very much for all your support. Alright, so now we are down to number 2 and number 1. Now, this is interesting. The video that comes into second place surprises me a lot, but it also validates something I was saying in my how to make an amazing review video. So we'll get to that in a moment. But the video that comes in at number 1 does not surprise me as much, although it surprised me not long after I had released it. So let's get into it. Coming in at number 2 for my most popular videos, the silver medal goes to my worst books of 2021. Now, this is incredibly surprising. So, every year since I began BookTube, at least once a year, however, last year I did it twice, I do end of year type videos such as favorite books of the year, worst books of the year, best favorite authors, favorite series, all those different things, favorite by genre, all those sorts of things. And I love doing them. I love doing them because it's an opportunity for me personally to go back and look at all of the books I've read over the space of that year and do some kind of a ranking situation where I get to rank my absolute favorites and my absolute least favorites. But what is surprising and yet also extremely validating for the last video that I put up, the amazing how to create an amazing review, is that this video, the worst books of 2021, as is implied by its title, is an extremely negative video. It's not a positive one at all. It starts off as a little bit meh, like coming in at number 10 is this book, but it's number 10, so that's okay. And then we get all the way through to number 5. And it's okay. Now, this is number 5. And here are my thoughts. Here are my feelings. And then we get down to it. And it's like, okay, but coming in at number 3 is this book. And here's what I got to say. And then when I got to number 1, oh my gosh. I mean, I spoke about it in the amazing review video. And I've spoken about it here too already in this podcast. But number 1 in the worst books for 2021, I went off. You guys, like, I won't reveal what the book is, but with number 1, I say the book coming in at number 1, I want you to look really quickly at the screen because it's not going to be there that long at all. So coming in at number 1 is bleeping out the name of the book, throw the book away. I'm like, so there you go. You're not going to ever see that book again on this channel. And here is why. And I got extremely passionate in that video, especially with number 1. But I think I definitely did with the top 3. And it's always a risk being negative on BookTube. But it's also a massive risk, I feel, for myself to be negative or just negative throughout the entirety of the video for me, because I am someone who is extremely positive, sparkle, sparkle with Mr. Francy. So the idea of seeing me just lash out at books and just get angry, it is a big risk. But you know what? You guys loved it so much that it's come in at number 2. So thank you. It really goes to show that maybe I should have some more negative videos coming up every now and again. I don't mind doing that. That's totally fine. Should I do worst authors? I don't know. I don't want to put authors down, but, I'll put books down. Who knows? Anyway, thank you so much for your support. I was blown away by the fact that an extremely negative video did so well on Mr. Francy Sparkle Sparkle Reads. So thank you. All right. Coming in at number 1, the gold medal for the most popular video with the most amount of views thus far to this point should not surprise anyone if you have been following my channel this year. It does not surprise me now, in retrospect, that it is the most popular video. However, when I created it at the time, I definitely did not think it would get as much attention as it did. So you guys absolutely surprised me. You blew me away, and I cannot thank you enough for the support that you have shown me. Coming in at number 1, the gold medal for my top rated most popular video goes to the I'm hosting a readathon in February video. Thank you so very much. For those of you who don't know, I hosted a readathon in February, a Cozy It Up with Mr. Francy readathon that had a bingo card with prompts all about cozy mysteries that we could read to try and fill in the bingo card. It was a whole lot of fun. This video did so incredibly well, and it really surprised me how well this video did, especially considering the amount of read-alongs that there were in February. There were so many readathons that I remember talking to my dear friend and fellow Aussie reader, Jane. Hi, Jane. At the time. And I was saying to her, because Jane was aware that I was planning on doing a Cozy Mystery Readathon, I had kept it between the two of us. And I said, do we even go about doing this? Because there's so many readathons going on, do we even... I don't know. And Jane is the one that ensured that it would happen, because Jane said, why don't we ask everyone and see what they think? So Jane herself put the question up, what do you guys think? And the response was amazing, and that's what got everything going. So if you enjoyed the Cozy It Up with Mr. Francy readathon, thank you so much for letting me know. Please make sure you let Jane know, because if not for Jane, it would not have happened in February. It might have actually happened in March, this month, but either way, it did happen in February, and it was fantastic. So thank you for your love and support. But that is where we are going to leave it for this week. If you have any ideas of what you would like for me to include in upcoming podcasts, please do not hesitate to let me know by leaving a comment in the space below, or you can sign up onto my Discord, link in the description below, and let me know over there, or you can let me know privately. Remember, as I did say at the top of the podcast, that if you would like to join me in next week's live podcast as a guest, please do let me know by sending me a private message over on Discord, and we will get that all set up. I am so extremely excited for next week's one, where we get to all interact together. Now, if you have an idea for what you would like next week's topic to be when we go live, you can let me know that in the podcast section of my Discord. But in the meantime, that is where I am going to leave it, letting you guys go with peace, blessings, and so much love. I try to post videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and I'll see you again soon. Mwah! Thank you so much for listening, and of course, happy reading!